Hello dear students, today we're going to learn how to do the square. So today we're going to start with the square trick, okay? So imagine if we have a number 15, how are we going to do the square of this number? So I'm going to show you a very simple trick to do the square of this one. So we have the first number over here is 5. So 5 square is 25, correct? 5 square is 25. What is this number? 1. What is the 1 next to this one is 2. So we're going to multiply this one 1 times 2, which gives us 2. So we're going to write down here. So 15 square becomes 225. Okay. Let's see one more examples. So I hope you understand this one. So let's see another example that give you more clarification. So 25 squares. So 25 square is equals to, what is the rule? So the rule is we're going to multiply the first number. What is the square of first number? 5 square is 25. So we have number 2 over here. What's the number next to 2? So we have 3, right? So 3 comes after 2. So 2 times 3, that gives us 6. So we're going to just write down here 6. That's a really simple trick, yeah? Okay, now you're going to tell me 35 squares. So you're going to tell me how you can do this one. So the first number is 5. So 5 square is 25. So the next, our number, we have 3 here. What's the number next to 3 is 4. So 3 times 4 is 12, right? So we're going to just write down here 35 square is 1225. Now we're going to check the next number, 45 squares. So if you can see that I'm just following the same trick. I'm just keep following the same trick. So 5 square, what's the 5 square is? 25 again. And we're going to look at this number. What is this number? 4. What's the next number? 4. 4 and 5. So 4 times 5 is 20. So we're going to place over here 20. So 45 square is 2025. You can check with the calculator as well. Okay, so you're going to help me with this number 55 square. I'll give you to try these ones as well. 55 squares, 65 squares using the same trick. Okay, 75 squares. So I'll give you 2 seconds. Stop the video for 2 seconds and then pause the video and then try these questions. Yeah. So 55 squares. Okay, so we're going to count up to 10. So once you finish, pause the video and check your answer again. So 5 square is 25. Again, so what is the number next to 5 is 6. So 5 times 6 is 30. So our answer is 3025. And the next one is 65 squares. So 65 is 25. And 6 times 7 is 42. So that becomes 4225. Now you're going to type in your answer. What is 75 squares? Okay. So you're going to type in 75 squares and I'll give you one more and 85 squares as well. 75 squares and 85 squares. So you're going to tell me what's your answer for these questions. Okay. So type in your answer in the comment section. Hello dear students, so far we have seen when we have a number 5 at the end, how we're going to do the squares of these numbers. So I showed you the trick. So all of these numbers, they are ending with 5, right? But if we numbers are not ending with 5, what's the trick for those numbers, right? So these numbers are quite simple. Let me show you if the numbers are not ending with 5. So how are we going to do, which trick we're going to use for this one? Okay, let's choose a number here. We're going to choose 48 squares. 48 squares. What is the trick to solve this one? Okay, we're going to look at the first number. First number is 8. But you should know the square numbers of all the numbers. Let me write down all the squares. 1 square is 1, 2 square is 4, 3 square is 9, 4 square is 16, 5 square is 25, 6 square is 36, 7 square is 49, 8 square is 64, 9 square is 81, and 10 squares is 100. So these are the square numbers we have. Okay, now we're going to pick up the first number. So the first number is 8. You're going to write down the square of 8. What's the square of 8? Is 80. What's the square of 8? Is 64. So we're going to write down here 64. Now we're going to look at the next number. What's the square of 4? 4 square is 16. 4 square is 16. So we're going to write down 8 squares, and the second step is second number is 4. So we're going to write down the 4 square, which is 16. Now what is the next step? So the third step is we're going to multiply all these numbers. 4 times 8 times by 2. Okay, 4 times 2 is 8, and 8 times 8 is 64. Yeah, so that gives us 64. But how are we going to place this 64? So we're going to leave the first number from the right hand side, and then we're going to start our 64. So 4 goes underneath here and 6 goes underneath here, right? Now what we're going to do, we're going to add all these numbers. So 6 plus 4 is 10, which is 0. Carry 1. 6 plus 2 is 12. Carry 1 is 3. So 13. And that gives us 1 carry over here. So that becomes 2304. Okay, you understand the trick? So you're going to look at the first number. The first number is 8. So we're going to write down the square of 8, which is 64. Square of 4 is 16. And then we're going to multiply all the numbers. 4 times 8 times by 2, that gives us 64. How are we going to place 64 underneath these numbers? So we're going to leave the first number on the right hand side and start from the second number. And we're going to write down here 64. We're going to use the simple rule. So leave the first number and start from the second one and just write down 64 and then add all the numbers. We just add all the numbers and we get the answer 2304. Okay, now we're going to look at the another one. So we have a number 57 squares. What's the trick? So the trick is simple. So that equals to 7 square is, we wrote there, 7 square is 49, correct? 5 square is 25. Now what's the third step? We're going to multiply all the numbers. 5 times 7 times by 2. 5 times 2 is 10. 10 times 7 is 70. Again, what's the rule? Leave the first number and just write down 70 here. Correct? Now we're going to add the numbers. So 9. 4 plus 0 is 4. 7 plus 5 is 12. Carry 1. So that becomes 3. So that becomes 3249. Correct? So the rule is really simple actually. So you just look at the first number, square it. Look at the second number, square it. And the third step is you're going to multiply all the numbers and get your answer. Okay? Let's look at another one. So we have here 52 squares. 52 squares. How are we going to do the 50 squares one? Okay, so there is a trick over here. So 2 square is 4, right? So how are we going to write down 4? So we always write down the numbers in 2 digits. Okay, so if you look at the first one, we write down as a number as a 2-digit number. How are we going to write down 4 as a 2-digit number? So 2-digit number will be 04, correct? And 5 square will be 25. So 5 square is 25 and 2 square is 04. That's the trick. We always write down the number as a 2-digit number. We always write down numbers as a 2-digit number for this trick. 2-digit number. Okay, what's the third step? We're going to multiply all these numbers. 5 times 2 times by 2. 5 times 2 is 10. 10 times 2 is 20. So leave the first number and then write down 20 there. Correct? And now we're going to add them up. So 4, 0 plus 0 is 0. 0 plus 0 is 0. And then 5 plus 2 is 7 and 2. So that becomes 52 square is equals to 2704. Okay, I hope it makes sense. So let's do a few more examples that will help you more. Let's do the more examples. So we did 57, 52. Now we're going to look at 63. Let's see how we're going to do this one. So let's write down here 63 square. Okay, what's the rule? You're going to tell me the rule. 3 square. 3 square is 9. But what's the rule? We always write down the number as a 2-digit number. So that becomes 09. Okay. And what's the square of 6? 6 square is 36. But the basic formula is you should know the basic square numbers from 1 to 10. If you know the basic square numbers, we just need to use that technique and then you can figure out any square number in few seconds. Okay, 6 times 3 is, let's write down here, 6 times 3 times by 2. So 6 times 3 is 18. 18 times 2 is 36. So what's the rule? We're going to leave the first number and then write down 36 here. Correct? And then what's the next step? Just add the numbers. So 9, 6, 9 and 3. So what is the 63 square is? 3969. Okay. Let's see another one. I hope you will understand that. So 72 squares. How are we going to do that 72 squares? Again, same technique. 2 square is 4. So what's the rule? We're going to write down as a 1-digit number or 2-digit number. As a 2-digit number, so we're going to write down as a 04. Now 7 square is 49. And then we're going to multiply the number 7 times 2 times by 2. So 7 times 2 is 14. 14 times 2 is 28. Where we're going to place our 28, leave the first number and write down 28 over here, and starting with the second digit. Yeah. So we always look at the place value table. So place value table, we leave the unit part. We leave the unit, we start from 10. Unit, 10 and 100, right? So we're going to leave the unit part, this one, and start from the 10th side. Now we're going to add them up. 4, 8, 9 plus 2 is 11 and 4 plus 1 is 5. So our final answer is 5,148. Because I'm doing very slowly, so that's why it's taking time. Otherwise, you can do all of these questions in 2-3 seconds, not more than that. Okay, let's see another example which is a little bit different. So if you have a number like this, 36 squares, how are you going to do this one? 36 squares. So 6 square is 36, which is also a 2-digit number. But how are we going to do 3 square, which is a 1-digit number, 9? So again, the same rule, we're going to write down as a 2-digit number. 9 we're going to write down also as a 2-digit number. Everything we're going to write down as a 2-digit number. And the next thing, we're going to look at all the numbers. So we have first number is 3, then we have 6, then we have 2. Just multiply them. 3 times 6 is 18. 18 times 2 is 36. So we're going to write down, leave the first digit. So you're going to start from the, leave the unit part, start with the 10th, and 36 is there. And then we're going to add them up. So we have 6. 6 plus 3 is 9. 9 plus 3 is 12. And carry 1, so that becomes 1,296. 1,296. So you can see that it's taking 2-3 seconds, not more than that. Okay, our next example is 35 squares. How are we going to do this one? 35 squares. You're going to help me with this time, yeah? 35 squares. First rule, let's do very quickly now. 5 square is 25. 3 square is 09. 3 times 5 is 15. 15 times 2 is 30. And just add them up. 5, 2, 9 plus 3 is 12. So what's the answer? 1,225. Look, we did in 2-3 seconds. If you just follow the technique, you can solve all the questions very simple way, and it takes no more than 2-3 seconds. Okay, let's see the next one. So next one we have 41 squares. What's the rule? Again, 1 square is 1. But we always write down our number as a 2-digit number. So 01. 4 square is 16. Now we're going to multiply all the numbers. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. Again, how are we going to write down 8? Leave the first number and just write down the 8 over here, right? And then add them up. 1, 8, 6, 1. So 41 square is 1,681. Correct? So now we're going to look at another easy one. Let's see how we're going to do this one. 11 squares. This one looks a bit tricky, but it's not tricky. So 1 square is 01, because we're going to write down as a 2-digit number again, 01. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 2 is 2. So leave the first number and just write down there and then add them up. 1, 2, 1. Because the number on the left, 0 is on the left hand side. So we're not going to do this one. So that becomes 121. Okay. Let's do one more example, then I will give you a few questions to try. 97 square. It's a big number and it's a bit tricky as well. Okay, so what's the 7 square is? 7 square is 49. What's the 9 square is? 81. So we're going to write down here 81. The next step is 9 times 7 times by 2. Correct? 9 times 7 is 63. 63 times by 2 is 126. We're going to write down here 126. Leave the first number, the unit place, and then we're going to start from the 10th place. We're going to write down here 6, 2, and 1 on this side. Correct? And then we're going to add them up. 9. 6 plus 4 is 10 is 0. 2 plus 1 is 3. Add 1. So that becomes 4. And 8 plus 1 is 9. So we got 9,409. Okay? Now I'm going to give you a few questions to try, and let's see how you're going to do these questions. Okay, so there are a few questions for you to try. Let me change the color so you know that you're going to try these questions. Okay, so the first question to try here, you're going to try these ones. So the first one, you're going to try 18 squares, and you're going to write down your answer in the comment section. 18 squares. And the next number, we have 31 square. You're going to write down your answer in the comment section using the same technique. And the next one is 89 squares. Use the same technique and write down your answer in the comment section. And please don't forget to subscribe and like my channel. And if you have any question, please don't forget to ask me. Yeah. Have a lovely day and see you next time. Bye.